I didn't have any idea why he was screaming at me the way he did on the very first day.
He was an Irish drunken bully.
Bill Murray has worn the crown in Hollywood for years, but behind the scenes, it's a mess no one saw coming. From making women uneasy on nearly every set to acting out around younger stars, his behavior hasn't just been awkward, it's been flat out disturbing. This isn't just some grumpy old guy. This is a man whose actions have left a trail of serious red flags. I'll be real. This one stings. I really thought Bill was one of the chill ones. But after digging into what's out there, that illusion shattered fast. It's like every time you turn around, another big name in Hollywood gets exposed, and now Bill Murray's name is being dragged into that same ugly category. Whether you know him from Ghostbusters, Groundhog Day, Caddyshack, or Lost in Translation, his career has been everywhere. And maybe that's the problem. All that time on set just gave him more chances to act out in messed up ways. Now, I've known Bill as that sarcastic, dry-humored actor, but I had no idea about the shady stuff in his past. So I started connecting the dots, looking at all the stories and reports. One that really made people furious? When he allegedly forced a kiss on Naomi Watts during a live talk show, people were shocked. It was uncomfortable, awkward, and straight up wrong. And yet, he kept getting booked, kept getting work, like nothing ever happened. So, here's what went down. Bill Murray was on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, and Naomi Watts was there too. They were promoting their new film, The Friend, and everything seemed fine, until it wasn't. At one point, Naomi was asked about her best on-screen kiss, and before she could even finish, Bill straight up grabbed her face and planted one on her. Wait, what? The look on Naomi's face said it all. Total shock. She instantly put her hands over her face and started shaking her head like, did that really just happen? It was so uncomfortable to watch. And keep in mind, Naomi's not some random co-star. She's married to Billy Crudup and has been in the game for years. She's 56, confident, respected, and still, Bill thought it was cool to pull that off like he was being cute. Nah. They'd worked together before in St. Vincent back in 2014, so maybe Bill thought that gave him a pass. But come on, that doesn't mean you can just go in for some creepy surprise kiss like it's a joke. People online were like, is this supposed to be some weird grandpa moment? Even if it was meant to be light, it wasn't. It looked so cringe, like, someone get grandpa off stage. He's out of line. Naomi kept it classy, though. She didn't make a scene, even though anyone else probably would have walked out. But you know how it goes. If she reacted strongly, she'd get labeled the difficult one. That double standard is real. Meanwhile, Bill's getting slammed online with people calling him a creep and saying that whole thing was horrifying to watch. And honestly, they're not wrong. The whole thing was flat out disrespectful. Calling Naomi Watts a little girl and grabbing her like that without warning? Seriously? I've been a Bill Murray fan for as long as I can remember, but watching that unfold? It was straight up hard to sit through. And it wasn't just Bill acting out. People also started coming for Andy Cohen, who tried to laugh it off and called the moment so good. Huh? So good for what? Your ratings? One person online nailed it. How gross and horrifying. Andy saying yes and so good. That reaction alone made the moment even worse. It was like everyone in the room wanted to pretend nothing happened, while viewers were watching it live, jaw on the floor. If I were Andy in that moment, man, I don't even know what I would have done. But I do know I'd be like, hold up, what just happened? You'd think anyone would react with at least some shock. But maybe Andy's been around so much wild behavior, especially with those chaotic housewives, that nothing surprises him anymore. Still, this wasn't just awkward. It was part of a pattern. Let's rewind to 2022. That's when Bill Murray landed himself in major hot water again. this time on the set of a film called Being Mortal. Production got shut down after a female staff member came forward with allegations that Bill acted wildly inappropriate toward her. And it wasn't just talk. Bill ended up paying a $100,000 settlement to that co-worker. The accusation that he had kissed and straddled her, straddled, while they were on set. And get this, the woman was reportedly much younger. Bill's version of the story? He said he'd known her and that it was all part of some bizarre attempt at making peace. Apparently, he tried to kiss her while both of them were wearing COVID face masks. Huh? So, you're telling us your idea of resolving tension is kissing a much younger colleague through a mask on a professional set? That's not peace. That's straight up confusing and out of line. When asked about it later, Bill claimed he felt like he was barbecued over the whole situation. Barbecued? Is that some old school phrase? Either way, people weren't having it. And look, shout out to everyone still using that kind of slang. But, Bill, come on, man. This isn't the 70s anymore. If you're still here, shout out to you. Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear what you think. Now let's talk about this whole barbecued thing Bill kept saying. What does that even mean? Burned by the press? Grilled by HR? Whatever it is, he used it a lot. So here's what Bill said. He used to have lunch with the woman. Like, they knew each other. It was during the COVID era. Everyone had masks on. And apparently, they were stuck in a room listening to some chaotic scene being rehearsed. Then suddenly, he thought it'd be funny to kiss her through a mask. He said, "It was something I had done to someone else before. It was funny every time. I was wearing a mask, she was wearing a mask. It wasn't like I touched her." Wait, what? Bro, what are you even saying? That doesn't make it less weird. And the fact that this wasn't a one-time thing? That's a red flag. She wasn't a stranger, sure, but that doesn't make it okay. None of this explains why he thought it was cool to do that at work, on set, during a pandemic. It's like he's reaching for any excuse that'll stick. Then he says the movie got shut down because Disney's human resources team stepped in. And get this. He called the whole experience stupid. But he's the one who had to drop $100,000 in a settlement. He actually said, "You can teach an old dog new tricks." Like this was some life lesson. But then added, "It was a great disappointment because I thought I knew someone, and I did not." Hold up. That line? Sounds like he's blaming her. The whole thing just keeps getting messier. So yeah, those last two incidents were recent, but Bill Murray's messy behavior goes way back. Let's rewind to 1990. Actress Geena Davis spilled some major tea in her memoir, Dying of Politeness. She talked about working with Bill in the early 90s, and it's disturbing. At the time, Geena was 34 and Bill was 40. During their very first meeting, in a hotel room, Bill showed up with a massage device and started acting super creepy with it. She said he kept pushing to use it on her, even after she clearly said no. He wouldn't back off. That is so weird. It gives off real, uncomfortable vibes. And yeah, people online were comparing it to some serious Hollywood horror stories. Then on set, it got worse. Bill went off on Geena for showing up late, even though she had a legit reason. And instead of handling it like a grown man, he screamed at her in front of the entire cast and crew, trying to humiliate her. He was out there berating her, loud and nasty, just to flex some fake power. And for what? They were practically the same age, only 6 years apart. But he acted like he was some big boss she had to bow down to. It's wild. Sadly, no one was even surprised by Geena's story. By now, Bill's whole vibe just screams entitled and out of control. And since we're going back, let's look at another wild moment. This one happened on national television. Yup, he really pulled some inappropriate stuff live in front of millions. At this point, Working with this dude sounds like a full-time nightmare. And guess what? Lucy Liu also came forward with her own story about him. Let's talk about Lucy Liu, because she did not stay silent. She finally opened up in 2021 about what went down between her and Bill Murray on the set of Charlie's Angels. And the story? It's intense. The incident happened back in 2000, but Lucy stayed quiet for years. When she finally spoke up, she made it clear, "When I sense something's not right, I'm going to protect myself. It's innate." She said she would have stood up for herself in any situation, and honestly, good for her. According to Lucy, Bill went off on her during filming, yelling insults out of nowhere. She said she looked around thinking, "He's not talking to me, right?" But yeah, he was, just openly shouting and belittling her like it was normal. She didn't back down, though. She confronted him. That takes serious guts, especially in an industry where standing up to big names can cost you work. And it gets worse. Another news report mentioned Bill headbutting a coworker at some point. Like, are you kidding? This isn't some outtake. This is real-life chaos on set. Then there's Seth Green. He was only 9 years old when he ran into Bill behind the scenes at Saturday Night Live. Seth talked about it years later on the Good Mythical Morning podcast. What he described? It's just messed up. He said Bill, who was 31 at the time, flipped out because Seth was sitting on the arm of a couch, like any kid might do. Then, allegedly, Bill grabbed him by the ankles, dangled him over a trash can, and dropped him in it. Seth said the bin tipped over, and he ran off terrified, hiding under a dressing table and crying. Like, what kind of adult does that to a kid on set? Wait, what? A grown man, rich, famous, powerful, attacking a kid. That's next-level disturbing. Seth Green was just 9, and Bill Murray really picked him up and dumped him in a trash can. That's not just rude, that's unhinged, and this isn't some one-time freakout. On an old episode of Watch What Happens Live, SNL legends Jane Curtin and Lorraine Newman talked about another behind-the-scenes disaster. Back in 1978, Bill and Chevy Chase got into a full-on physical fight backstage. Chevy had left SNL and returned as a guest host, and apparently Bill was so bitter about it, he decided to teach him a lesson. What is it with this guy throwing hands backstage like it's a wrestling match? He's out here acting like the set is his personal fight club. And guess what? It doesn't stop there. On the set of the film What About Bob, there's another wild report. According to sources, Bill allegedly screamed at someone, "Everyone hates you. You are tolerated." And even worse, someone claimed he threw an ashtray. Can you even imagine being at work and having someone chuck something like that at you while yelling that everyone hates you? What kind of ego trip is that? Whatever fame did to Bill Murray, or whatever went to his head, it twisted something. Because this isn't a legacy of charm or comedy, it's a trail of uncomfortable moments, outbursts, and people feeling unsafe around him. That behavior on watch. What Happens Live Alone. Unforgivable. But I really want to hear what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you've got video ideas, hit me up. sloanwellknown@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow if you want more stories like this. New video coming soon. Bye for now.